It is, yes, the exercise where you stretch your body would be helpful. It is back to digestion. The body is trying to digest, and it is, as we have discussed, not easy for your body to do that, but also this situation with bloating and digestion is not just because of everything we have already talked about. It is also because in the diet of many developed countries, the food itself is
too rich.
Sometimes actually undigestible because it is not good food. And whilst you may be eating good food, this is in your system. Do you see? This is built up. So, but because your diet over the past 10 years has changed dramatically from what you have experienced for the rest of your life, the body is slowly ridding itself of these negative forces, and the body has to change. So it is like the body is going through metamorphosis. Also because you are focusing on detoxifying your body, and you are doing this in different ways. So you are not just focusing on one particular way. You are looking at different ways. You are doing it energetically. You are doing it food-wise. You are doing it mentally, spiritually. So your body is, in a way, renewing itself. So there is adjustments to be made. So a big factor with bloating will be gluten, and your intolerance to that. The other thing to think about is foods that you eat. If there is not enough fluid with them, if they are too dry, then your body is going to make amends, if you like. And when you imagine that you put a dried bean in water, it swells up. It is the same thing. So if you do not have enough fluid, and by this we do not mean that if you eat something and then you drink a gallon of water, this is not the key. The food itself must be drenched in fluid, so it has absorbed the fluid. So it does not need any more fluid to be digested. Do you understand? So this is what we talk about when we say that it needs to have fluid. If it doesn't, then it is going to absorb what you have. But then, of course, it will expand.
Yes.
So you may have eaten this much for your dinner, but then it needs to absorb, and of course, it's going to be this much. And then that needs to be digested. So you think this is going to take 1 hour. It is absorbed, which has taken an hour, and then it's going to take 2 hours to digest. So you see that your stomach is this much bigger. The other thing to consider is your fecal matter. If you are not regular, if the body is not able to get rid of its waste in a timely fashion, then this will build up. And of course, if this is built up, when you are trying to digest food, it has nowhere to go. So then you also have a bloat, because there is just nowhere to go. So these are the things to think about. The food that you ate, was it drenched in fluid?
Yes.
If it was, then think, am I regular? Am I ridding the body of the waste? So you see there are two, because sometimes the food may be drenched in fluid but you are still bloated.
Yeah.
So maybe it is this. But it may be the other way around.
So should I take some castor oil, stuff like that too?
And some foods, what we said about the gluten is that some foods you will be intolerant to, and this will cause also bloating.
Right.
Because it is like, if you imagine that it creates a gas, and what does gas do? It expands. So it is the same sort of thing. So for you, there are 3 areas that you would need to look at. So if the fluid
and
so
elimination.
Yes, so you need to think about those 3 things and which one, and then, because for you it will be trial and error. When you have hit upon the thing that you think is the most likely, then you must change your behavior. And so the next time you have that particular food, you make sure that it is cooked to a point where it is mush.
Yes.
So that it is not... so beans, for example, this is a good example because they do absorb so much water to be cookable. But perhaps you need to cook the beans until they are mush. So there is so much water in them. People worry that if they cook food too much that they lose the nutrient.
Yeah.
But if you have got enough water to begin with in the cooking process, then the bean, where is all that nutrient going to go?
The water. Oh, yeah, okay.
Or back into the bean.
That's right.
Because of course it will be leached from that. But then the bean absorbs. So if you think that most of the food that you cook is going to be... It is like homeopathy. You know, in homeopathy, when it is divided, it is the smallest division which is considered to be the most potent. It's the same thing with food. Not so much vegetables, because obviously in the raw state they are at their optimum.
Pure, yeah.
But dried foods,
yes.
where for you, because you do not eat meat, you are going to get your proteins from.
Beans and nuts.
So they need to be very...
Liquidized.
Yes.